Welcome to the Dragon's Tome. Welcome back. Thank you.
Tome.
Come on in. I'm allowed to zazz things up.
It's a
I'm,
zazzy.
It was
I'm
just
an
an odd way
MC.
to zazz
This
it
is
up.
how you bring them in.
Next time you get the jazz hands when you say it.
I gotta in the middle of this thing. I gotta take up the merch store. That's like a comedy dead zone. So I gotta start strong. We have a merch store now. It's you want a wheat penny shirt? It's down there.
We got there.
Jack, you design them.
Um,
We'll make them.
Yeah.
um,
There's a T-shirt that says
I
"Gyms
came.
are great, but not for D&D."
I came for the Dragon magazine. I left with a wheat pen.
Wheat penny.
I came for the Dragon's Tome and left with a wheat
It's
pen.
gonna say F asterisk CK encumbrance.
In Cyanics, so we have a whole line.
Yeah.
Mohan.
okay. I better get a hold of this one. This we gotta settle down, boys. Settle down. I started with so much zazz that it
He
inspired you
zazzed us
guys.
up, yeah.
Okay, Dragon's Tome. Dragon's Tome. We go chronologically through all the Dragon magazines. One, two. Now we're at 84. We're at
84.
April of 1984. And Pat, what's that on your shirt? Right? Just a second on your shirt. Right? Just look, yeah, a little lower. Look. Look. Gotcha.
Oh.
April.
Oh, it's an April
Fool.
Fool's.
April Fools.
The best part,
Now
there is
we
no
have-
April Fools in this issue. That's the best part.
Well, that's the crime actually.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize they didn't do that this year.
I was going to bring that up. Now look at this cover.
It does scream April Fools.
It's
It's called.
I think it's well done, but
It's-
it doesn't inspire me.
It actually has a name. This picture has a name. And a backstory. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
maybe that'll change my mind on it because it looks like maybe a cartoon from the New Yorker, not something that would inspire
Exactly.
someone to.
Or like a Rockefeller plate.
Yeah, something like Lincoln's inauguration. The food that was served was steak with pepper sauce and mushrooms. You know,
It's called Ian Dinwood's Martian Moment by Dean Morrissey, and it's you can't tell they're actually on Mars because it's pink outside, but this was not made for Dragon magazine. He just had it on the shelf and he thought, hey, this might work. So they must have been desperate.
theorized.
So it was like I didn't get anything done to it. Here you go.
Yeah, and they're like, it's not really that fantasy, but we'll say it's on Mars because it looks pink outside. That's pretty much what it is. So
We had theorized that would happen. They were like, "Hey, you're an artist. Do you have anything?" And yes, here's
Because
something.
occasionally we've had.
They
a
actually
couple
admitted
pictures
it this
that
time.
were like that.
they actually admitted it in the not the editorial, the other thing that tells you what's in the issue. So.
But it kind of now I'm looking at it in the sky. You know, I assume the moon, but that's could be.
I'm not gonna play that charade. It just does. It was
But
as far as the art itself is great. As far as the cover, not so good.
but look at the globe. It's got like craters all over it. Like
It was who knows, but anyways.
benefit of the doubt. Okay, but anyways,
What's the books say? Anybody read the books?
Oh, that's racist. I can't say that. That's yeah, no, we
Problematic.
don't use that term for people anymore. Yeah, no,
Martians.
don't look at those books.
Yeah, so there you
Um,
go.
It's hard for me to believe that anyone with belt buckle shoes colonized Mars.
Actually, the people that dress like that do look like colonizers to me.
Maybe it's a retro thing. Everything comes back around, even belt buckle shoes.
Belt buckle shoes.
Honestly, if I could get some pants like that,
Pantaloons.
I would rock those with the socks and the garters.
I could see it.
And Pat's basically smoking that pipe, so
Yeah,
You
he
know.
is basically actually
I was.
he was before we started.
smoking
We all had to
the
medicate.
pipe.
we all had to get a little of our
Happy juice. We already talked about this. Or happy pills.
No, it's just tobacco, guys.
Tobacco?
It's
Tobacco.
tobacco.
It's tomatoes ground up. That's tobacco.
It's
tobacco from The Simpsons. Remember? And they
Tosmacco.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
farm animals start eating the tomatoes, and then they all go crazy because they're yeah. Okay.
It always comes back to The Simpsons.
It does. I've had a shocking amount of references, and it still holds up. Simpsons, the first 9 seasons, classic. Anyways, let's get this show on the road. This is a show where we actually go past the cover of Dragon Magazine and into the articles, not just riff on the cover for
We should have done that.
45 minutes.
How much easier would that have been?
Oh, that would have been the best.
Damn it.
Is it too late to retool the show?
Yeah, can we just restart?
We can come back around.
Yeah, we should do a
Okay.
site. Once we finish, we'll do that. We'll do just covers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, who wants to start? Rob, you start.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something mean. Let's
No,
just.
I've never said something mean to you in your life.
We're going to go right to the. Let's just call it the elephant in the room. We'll go to page 71. And
Aw.
oh, you want to talk about this? Good.
No.
You can continue. It's
Go ahead.
Ares, science fiction magazine. Pretty much, I just wanted to say, they present it like it's a whole separate magazine, just stuffed in the middle of this.
Yeah.
It's got its own table of contents, its own editorial, its own like all the cover, its own cover. Yeah, we can talk about this cover.
It just says the editors.
And the cover is what's because it's Kim Mohan. And the cover is the cheapest cover ever. It's just a picture of the moon. So there you go. It's not an artist. It's just a picture of the moon.
I
But
think that's where isn't that where the Apollo landed?
it's the
I
it's
think that's
giant
the
lunar
where-
crater Copernicus. There
Now,
you go.
I think if I remember correctly, that part of the soundstage was in Burbank, California.
When Kubrick was directing,
Oh, are you one
Yeah.
of those guys?
he isn't one of those guys. He is that guy.
I am that guy. I started that rumor.
Oh, the editors are actually Roger Moore and Mary Kirchhoff, not Mohan. I was
Yeah.
wrong. So poor Roger Moore got kicked out of the editorial for this. But anyways, yeah, that's all I want to say about Pat. You have more to say about?
Oh no, I got articles out of that.
Okay. That's it. That's for me. I'm just saying Ares isn't here with its own table of contents, which is annoying to me because, it's how am I supposed to know where these things are when I'm at the beginning of the beginning of the magazine?
I mean, at least they didn't make it one of those where they put the Aries on the backside of the magazine, but upside down.
You got to
and
flip it.
backwards.
I would be more
because-
acceptable for that one.
Would you
I
really?
was going to ask that exact
That
question.
would. I hate those things.
So, do you think clearly this was the magazine? Most of this was the typeface already done. They just okay, we'll just mush it into a dragon, get this going. And I was going to ask, would you prefer rather than this hey, this is the Aries section right at the beginning, and you could go to it,
Mhm.
no cover, no nothing like that, or would you have preferred a flip over Aries on one side, dragon on the other? Discuss.
I prefer not this. I prefer the middle ground where it's just another section of the magazine where
I think it would be just another section also.
regular offerings. Oh, the limb, the
Magazines
forum.
that you have to flip over. That's a second magazine.
Yeah.
Annoy the
Yeah.
bejesus out of me.
But yeah, I wish it was just a regular offerings section, like the same as game reviews or it's the Aries section.
I mean, let's be honest. Eventually, they get tired of doing it this way, and it goes back to that.
Oh, I'm
It
sure.
doesn't. It doesn't work this way, but this was clearly a stopgap.
Yeah, well,
between
I think
what are we doing?
And also, I think
Okay.
Jack is right where they had all this done, and they were just like, okay, it's done. We'll just throw it in here.
Just throw it in as is.
Yeah.
You know,
This is the beginning of whatever issue
I
this
get
would have
that.
been, 14 or
These are
whatever
the-
it is.
This is the death throes of Aries, right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
because if they can take what they've already got and just slap it in the sooner they can, because if they're publishing, they're going through the printers, the all of that stuff, the cost, and if they're not selling them, that's just lost. That's just
Yeah.
so. If they could say
All the
stop
effort they did on
presses,
this cover and all the typeset and everything that they already paid for,
Yep.
might as well use it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Is that umlaut over the E changing the word Aries to something else? That's my question.
Where's the umlaut at?
It's like a
Let's see.
line. I know it's not an umlaut. Umlaut's 2 dots.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys. Like,
Accent aigu?
slow down. Maybe it's the copious amount of weed I've been smoking. The
If I
paranoia
remember
setting in.
right, that would be Eres.
Yes, Jack? You read?
The Ares, who would also you would call what?
The God of War?
Mars.
The cover?
Is the
Is
moon.
the moon.
Oh, you mean the real cover? Is the Mars. Oh, look at that. It's all
Oh.
Jack's conspiracy theories are all coming together
Dun,
now.
dun, dun.
We got there, Jack. We got there.
Wow, this is
We saw your little
Wow.
strings. Your strings in your board.
I was there. I was screaming about
Your-
Pepe Sylvia.
your Post-it
and-
notes are all coming together now.
Yeah, and you just followed those little
He
red
does have
lines
he does have a copy of Catcher in the Rye in his pocket currently, so
Okay. So bear with me. Do you think that has any connection?
no, I think not according to what they said about that cover. They said it was just because he had that
in
cover.
order to protect us, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
But Illuminati says yes.
The Men in Black might be showing up,
Okay.
bending our ears.
The single-eyed pyramid says yes.
So I apologize for breaking in with that. You
What?
guys were talking.
You're the
about,
host. We're done. Accent
We were,
goose.
we were talking about phonetic spelling.
Yeah.
Send us somewhere else, Jack.
Okay. Let's see here. So that was Rob. Let's go to Patrick.
Okay. We're going to go to the double twos.
Oh. The Van Doos.
Trapper.
And again, my good buddy Ed has got another one, 3 in a row.
Trapper John MD.
The Trapper. Cool. A little arrangement about how this narrative is being dictated by a guy who survived a trapper attack to a
Nobody
guy writing a
survives
book
a
about
trapper
trappers.
attack.
Well, this one guy, he's got one leg and one eye, I think, if I was reading it correctly.
Jeez.
What I liked about this article is like it's being dictated, and he's writing it down, and he's putting footnotes, and then at the end of the article, all the footnotes are explained as what he means. So it reads like a manuscript. That's pretty cool. And it explains the different parts of the trapper in the footnotes, like the top of the surface of the trapper is dense and not brittle.
Yeah, the notes are way longer than the actual ecology.
Yes, which the notes are actually really the ecology part.
Yeah.
Whereas the notes is just the stories of somebody talking about how he survived a trapper attack.
It's a fun, what do they call it? Like, wrap around to hang the story on. It's kind of fun.
A wraparound trapper. That would be a keeper.
Trapper keeper.
No, I had my fair share of trapper keepers, but
Especially in 1984.
I do like the trapper as a monster. It was one of my favorite dungeon monsters when I was making
Because you're cruel.
dungeons.
You're cruel and unusual. Not the old classic, what's it called? The
mimic.
mimic, yes.
I mean, I feel like the trapper.
You have a trapper in it, but
There's a strong argument as to which is the better dungeon creature, the mimic or the trapper.
yeah, or the stalactite things that drop in your head. Yeah,
Yes.
Piercer.
Yeah.
Piercer, and I forget the slag. I mean, there's a good argument. I mean, if you really wanted to be a horrible DM, you could put a mimic on top of a trapper.
Or you put the mimic there. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's obvious a mimic," and then you go around it, and the trapper gets him.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's cruel.
but that's mine. You know, the ecology's still good. Like them, especially when Ed does a good ecology one. I think.
He's a good writer,
Yeah, I mean,
creative
do you
guy.
think he minds it? Do you think he minds that we call him Ed?
No, Mr. Greenwood.
Like we're buddies. You know, like we have an in.
Well, is it worse? I call Mohan, and I think that's much worse. So, I think the disrespect in my voice.
That sounded very derogatory.
There is a familiarity with saying Ed as though we know him on a first name basis, but I think once you reach a level of celebrity, it becomes the norm. But you're right. I wouldn't, if we met him, I would go, "Hey Ed, how's it going?"
No, that's right.
Yes.
But as a reference,
A high five him. Ed. Up top.
Or you say Eddie Bedetti.
Eddie Potato. I would
Hey,
never.
Eddie Bedetti.
I
And
would
then
never say Eddie
in,
Potato.
in our merch store, hey, Eddie Bedetti.
We gotta write this
It's just a
stuff
picture of
down, man.
him. Like,
Yeah.
All right,
Anyways,
that's my article.
Jack.
yes. Okay. Well, then it is my turn because we've done pretty much the ecology was a slam dunk for being Pats. I'm going to go to page. I hope it's a 12 in my
It's like
handwriting.
the
Is not
ecology have
very
become the Dragon Rumbles from.
Your college, he's not 12, Jack, you think?
correct.
Familiars?
Of strange familiars.
Yeah, I have this one too. It's really good.
I
I don't.
almost did this, but then I said to myself, "This is a Jack article."
Is Jack gonna be?
I
You gonna hate this one? I'm gonna like it. Is that what's happening here?
I don't know. That's a lot. That's
I actually don't like it, so
suppositions.
I'm just joking. So
Um, I never play magic users.
no, me neither.
Um, Mainly because like the role playing aspect and keeping track of the spells and the things. It was a lot more bookkeeping than I cared for. But you give me a rhesus monkey that I can carry around with me, or a weasel, I'm in. So this is a long article
I thought you
about.
would have went with like a bullfrog.
That's for witches. Frogs are for witches.
Witches or bitches, right?
They get stitches.
Um, yeah. So this is new rules for casting Find Familiar. If you didn't understand that so far, Jack never mentioned that.
Okay, yes. So I preface it by why it's of interest to me as a non-magic using player, and it goes into detail of what kinds of familiars, what the traditional, what on the outskirts, and with the amount of variety of animals, the everything about it, there was a little something for everyone. And I would say that if I were to don a conical hat, some blue robes, and claim to be made of a conspiracy of wind and flames, and sent here to. Am I boring you? Is that like I thought I was painting quite the past day. Maybe
Pat,
a
why
little
would you yawn at poor Jack?
I didn't know.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
bit. Why did
Anyways,
you
Jack.
yawn at poor Jack
Keep
in the
going. I
merch
was
store?
listening to you.
Uh, yes. So, anyways,
That yawn had nothing to do with you.
I would want a small marsupial friend.
My answer to that is become a ranger. You can do the same thing without having to worry about everything. But what I have to say about this is that this writer seems to hate AD&D. He disparages it all the time.
Yes.
Stephen Innes. He goes on a while about how the hit point system doesn't make sense. Like, it really, really hates AD&D just to talk about familiars.
Yeah, but why would you anything? And you know what? All I know is that Jack would love a Reese's monkey,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 2 entries for monkeys, and not one for a gorilla.
Gorilla's too big. It has there's a
Yeah,
size
it's-
thing. He goes into that.
outside
He
of
goes into that. It's all about size, man. And
He's a size queen.
he is a size
Mr.
queen.
Ennis.
Size
R.I.P.
and a AC queen too. But yeah. But then he goes on to describe every single animal into much detail, and it goes on forever. And it's, dude, we know what animals are. Yeah, so it's too much, but it was fine. I read this whole article because I thought, yes, I like familiars. Yes, I like a chart to roll on. But no, I don't need to be described what a cat is.
Or
I
a
did
skunk.
Yeah.
I did skim some of the entries, and I was like, I can understand why it'd be interesting to have that.
There was a quaddy. I didn't know what a quaddy was.
Well, that's
why-
what he was. Isn't that like a little cat thing? But
No, it looks like a possum.
A little shrew like thing.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
he's like,
yeah,
oh, I only took like normal animals, but then there's something called a kikaju. What the fuck's a kikaju?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was his idea of normal animals is weird, but
Hmm.
but anyways, yeah, good job. He did a
Yeah,
quite
that was
well
my-
job.
that that coaxed me into a nice like sit read. Oh, I was lulled into just a nice relaxing read on that article. So that brings us back to Robert. What's your
Kikajus are nocturnal arboreal animals related to the raccoon. Who knew? Why wouldn't you just put raccoon in there?
a raccoon familiar would be
Because there's a
sweet.
raccoon in there.
Oh, there already is raccoon. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, my turn. It's going to go to page 40, I believe.
Oh, that was one of mine.
Because you can just look over and your familiar would be using little hands to wash his fruit and
Raccoons
nuts.
are great. There's a YouTube channel that I, for some reason, stumbled across. This guy made friends with a coyote, but then he also made friends with a raccoon, and he has a pit bull. So it's a coyote, a raccoon, and a pit bull just playing together, and it's like the cutest thing ever. So,
Well, if you like raccoons, there's a lady who feeds her this herd, and when I say herd, I really mean like 13 plus raccoons out her kitchen window, and
The one
they
where she puts the grapes on the
uh,
windowsill, and then they come up and she does experiments. Well, they like cheese. Well, they like
yes,
this, and yeah.
and
Okay.
sometimes they don't like it, they just ignore it.
they're polite. Anyways, this article, then there were three. It talks about the D&D companion box set coming out.
Yes.
I didn't think it was this late. I assumed they'd already been out, but yeah.
Oh no, it was around this time because there's still two more left to come.
Yeah, they
As
discussed
I
that at
put
the
my
end.
notes,
Yeah.
there's only two more left: the Masters and Immortal.
Yep, they discussed at the end. Masters and Immortal are coming out next, so they give a little preview of what levels. But this companion set's 15 to 25, and I remember we always talking about that mass combat system that never happened. Well, there is a mass combat system in this box set, so maybe that's where it turned into.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I
But
have the Beckme companion, which is all of them combined in one book.
yeah, it's just a book, yeah, instead of all the box sets, yeah. I don't think I ever played companion. I remember my friends had Immortal and obviously the first two, but
Yeah, my friend had Champion, but our companion, but we never played it.
yeah.
I played Red, I played Basic and Expert
Yeah.
extensively until AD&D, and then after AD&D, I never went back to the box sets.
See, I played D&D and after AD&D, so I actually played AD&D first. But yeah, so it's just interesting that, and they go into, once again, it's just like the other time. It's Frank Mentzer going into detail of what's going to be and everything, and what's changing, and yeah, new armors and stuff that they're adding.
Yeah,
but it is a funny throwback because it is kind of like playing it's like us playing OSR or one of those. It's like
yeah,
it's it's retro at this point with AD&D being so far advanced from what this is. They're just adding in scale mail and bartered mail, I think, or abandoned mail. So, like, it's so funny.
Yeah, the in hindsight, we know that AD&D just becomes the norm, and the D&D
Well, to the point that D&D today is just AD&D. Like people say D&D, it's AD&D. So,
but at the time, I know the idea was one was going to be this, and the other was going to be this, and the fact that they thought that there was enough room or people willing to. It's a bit odd that there's two parallel tracks still going.
And you know what the funny thing is, as I lived through this, I didn't differentiate the two as two separate tracks. I just thought one was the evolution to the next one, and then this one just kept going. Because, I mean, when it comes right down to it, the difference between D&D and AD&D, I think are few and far between. I mean,
the basics premises are there.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, I know a lot of people that I've talked about D&D go, oh, yeah, especially even people that are in the know, like in more so than just the general population that wouldn't know one way or the other, always would say, oh yeah, the red box, then there was that greenish one, and then it turned into advanced D&D, and then it turned like
they think it is the progression where it isn't. It's two separate things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Where one just morphed in, and it was like, okay, well, D&D
Well,
second edition is going to be called AD&D,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and
that's
I think that's where my disconnect is. I stayed on the AD&D track.
Oh yeah.
I didn't continue
I
on the
dallied
technique
onto the D&D track, but I was already on the AD&D track. It was more
yeah
like, oh, look at this old thing. Oh, look at you can
because
your race is
I
your
never
class. What
I
the?
never bought companion. My friend did,
Yeah.
and then I don't know anyone that bought Masters or Immortal.
I my friend had Immortal because I remember us playing like we'd make really high level characters just to fuck around, you know. But
Yeah,
so that's it. Um, yeah.
yeah,
So it's interesting. Yep, and they do announce that Masters and Immortal are coming. So they already had it all in the pipeline. They already knew what was coming. It wasn't like it was unplanned. So it's interesting.
unplanned.
It wasn't an unplanned
Speaking of
pregnancy.
unplanned, Patrick,
yes. Let's go backwards to page 32.
32.
32.
Yeah, this one
This
was weird.
picture, this picture in the beginning is very deceiving
This
to
this
me,
article confused me.
as I know. Uh, Basically, this article is a little bit of history of the Rakshasa, which is an Indian mythos character.
Yeah.
An Indian mythos character, it's like basically a sentient tiger. Why this picture
Well,
looks like a gorilla, I don't know why.
no, that's the difference. Is the in India, it wasn't the gorilla or it wasn't the tiger. It was this
Yeah,
monster thing that changed shape all the time, and
yeah,
that D&D AD&D turned it into the tiger guy that we all know. But
yeah,
so this is like the real Rakshasha.
yeah.
Like
Well,
this
then
is
there's
the
three
the
versions. There's also
mythology
three
version.
versions. Well, there's three versions in the mythology. There's the one that's like a
Yeah.
ghost, like a demon that possesses, and then there's one that just destroys lives, and then there's the one that we know that's a sentient being.
I assume Scott Beanie is a like a historian of Indian myths or something, and he just wanted to be like, no, that's not what
Probably.
a Rakasha is, you know, like or
Yeah, and then
Rakshasha.
he talks about Ravana, who's actually in part of that mythos, who fights. Who's the Vishnu? I couldn't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, and then it moves into the stats of the different types of Rakshasa you would see, including Ravana, the lesser god.
And I, when I, because obviously it's not an English word. I always said Rakshasa, and I've heard people say all manner of things.
Yeah.
So, but
I
this is
just
the
say it
first time
Rakshasha. Rakshasha.
first time I've heard anyone say it the way Pat's saying it.
Guys,
So,
I had a buddy who's was Indian,
Oh,
and his dad said it's pronounced Rakshasa.
oh,
Rakshasha. Yeah,
Now,
that's
now
how
that
I
was
always
me being
pronounce it
being
Rakshasha.
a little bit racial, but you get the gist. He told me he said Rakshasa.
hmm.
Yeah, for some reason I always pronounced it sort of like that, so I must have heard it somewhere. Um, but it confused me reading this article. I was like, wait a second, Rakshasas are in the game, right? Like it's not like
Yes,
this is something new.
they're in the
Yeah,
theme folio, I think.
no, they're in the first monster manual, right?
Oh,
Remember, it's the guy with he's smoking a pipe or something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a gentleman. He
Looks
looks
like
like
me.
a
He's got a smoking jacket on,
Yep,
cub
pretty much,
shirt,
yeah.
glasses.
he would look at home on the cover of this magazine.
But so I was like, wait, is this? And I looked back. No, it's just some guy reimagining them, or I think he's bringing them back. He's taking them back to the real myth. So yeah, interesting.
Okay. So that was young Patrick. I guess it's my turn, and we're gonna go to page 28. Real close, real close.
28 books.
The Sleeping Dragon by Joel Rosenberg.
Did I read this one?
Um,
I don't think I read this book
Is
either.
this the one where the people get transported to the other world?
ding, 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 ding,
Yeah,
ding.
we all read this book. Yeah.
We all read this book. Everyone read this book. I have a copy floating around somewhere. I
I didn't
remember
read
because
this
I
book.
was trying to read it last summer, and I think it might be out in my garage. But I have a hard time reading anymore. I'll be the first to admit it. I work a lot. I work shift. It's tough. I get a book in my hand and
You
I
fall
just
asleep. Yeah. You're like the old man.
I am an old man. I don't want to alarm you, Rob, but we
That's
haven't
usually
gotten any
that's
younger.
how usually because me and you are the same, Jack, and that's usually when I read now. Is usually I read a chapter to wind down, and by the time I'm done with that chapter, I'm close to it with the book hitting me in the face.
Yeah,
You don't want to
yeah.
know where I
So
read. You don't want to fall
At the
asleep
gro-
there.
at the grocery store.
Yeah, don't want to know what he reads at all.
It's at the brothel, actually.
Branta.
But yeah, I didn't know that this was. But the moment I saw the cover, I'm like, wait a second, I don't recognize that. But yeah, this whole series, we read like all of them, and it was
It turns out to be a series that was quite good, and in my high school days was the bomb. And I remember, I think it's the second chapter. One of the players gets killed to up the stakes. And it
spoilers.
stuck. Yeah, okay. This is what a 40-year-old book. Yeah. Yes. So I just
but
wanted
the thing
to say,
is, this book came out, and I just looked it up. The D&D cartoon comes out in another year. Come on, tell me they didn't steal the whole story from this book. Because it's exactly what this book, the cartoon is. I didn't realize that it was from this early. I assumed that it was the other way around, that they stole the idea and made it a serious version. I guess Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe is really what this is all kind of similar to, but...
Well, it isn't it? I mean, so who? I mean, it's a recurring fantasy.
Yeah, but this
I mean, White Gold Wielder is in a sense that same thing.
But those are people traveling to a fantasy world. So you could say John Carter, or you could say a whole bunch of...
This is literally, it's a world they play, and they get transported to it, just like the cartoon. Like it's...
They make characters. They're playing the characters.
These guys aren't at a fair.
No,
I can't remember how they get transported,
They get transported on a roller coaster.
No, I mean, no, in this book. In the book.
Yeah. No, I thought we were talking about the cartoon, because I know the cartoon. I don't know this book.
The DM is one of their teachers, and I think he invites them over.
Does he cast a spell on them or something?
Something like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think we need to call the cops.
Yeah, that's right. The professors of magic user trapped in their world, and he brings them over. That's what it is. Yeah, but they it's not like a D&D. I don't know, in the D&D cartoon, could they come back and forth, or are they stuck over there?
They're stuck over there. In the last cartoon, they all go back except for the wizard.
This one, it's harrowing what they have to go through, and they get separated, and it's crazy. Yeah, it's a really good book series, actually.
And again, I wish I could read, but I can't. So
I wish I could
because
read.
I know I had that book. I tried. I was sitting outside.
I literally remember being up north at my parents' friend's cabin, laying on the couch reading these books. So like, it's a memory that, and my memories are few and far between, so to have that kind of memory of this book, that's
you have probably the worst memory for a vast section
I'm functionally an Alzheimer victim, frankly.
That I know. Yeah. It's not hyperbole. There are
my memory is terrible.
There are people that had significant parts, roles to play in your life at high school, and I go, "Hey, you remember that guy?" And you're like, "No." Okay.
It's true. I don't remember anybody or anything. And the only reason I remember many stories of my high school years is because we tell them over and over again. So I remember the story, the telling of them, not the actual events. So I have flashes. Mostly it's just a blur, yes. I drank early. I was corrupted. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm going to look again, because I think that book still might be out in my garage. And if so, I will show it here thusly.
We'll flap it in our faces thusly.
Yes. Yeah.
For our show and tell. So, Pat, you know it's show and tell's next week, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, yes. I
didn't. If you didn't make a purchase, you'd better get on it.
Oh, he did.
Several purchases.
Yeah, he did. Don't worry.
I'm out of control.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
Don't you worry. I've made several purchases. I'm out of control.
Yeah.
Pat Lewis.
Pat Lewis, yeah. We need to make these shirts, below. Man. We got to write these down.
Yeah. So
I've been talked, not in this Facebook group, but our other podcast Facebook group. I've been talking to buying the same item again, so I can buy one that's already open.
Are we doing plugs from Mobile Armor Radio? Or
no, not really. I was just continuing the insanity that is my eBay.
Well, we talked. It's actually that comes from that went into Mobile Armor Radio because it was Combats, but we talked about it on this show.
Yes,
it was because we saw the ad for Combats and we were like, "What the hell is this?" And Pat bought it, but it's sealed. He can't open it, so he wants to buy another one he can open.
Or one that's already opened.
Yes. Yeah. So there you go. A little view into our lives.
Who turns it next, Jack?
It's almost like we have nothing better to do than natter about things.
It's true.
Anyways, it's time for ads.
No, it's my
Everyone,
turn.
it's
I got an
I still
article.
got way more articles.
no, no, you did 2 articles.
I did one.
You did 2 articles.
No, I didn't. I did one article.
Okay, Rob.
We're not on a limit of articles either.
Jack.
You
92.
can't keep your fascist hold on this video cast.
He
We
tries.
were told there was only going to be
Well,
one.
you're gonna hate it because I got 3 ads. So there you go.
What page are we on?
92.
2 articles.
92.
We're not doing ads now. We're doing articles, right?
Article, yep. This is the very last episode of What's New by Phil Folio and his wife Dixie. This is the last one, and pretty much it's a trip through TSR offices. I'm sure there's tons of Easter eggs about who they meet and who they talk to. That it's probably to them is very funny because these are probably real people, but it's going through the everywhere. Eventually gets to Gygax, who's flogging a one-sided die. They ask him what it's for, and he said that's for the marketing department to figure out what it's for. So, yeah, and they eventually get to Kim Mohan's office, and they want to do their article. The very first article they wanted to talk about was sex in D&D. So, like, we want to do sex in D&D, and he's like, no, we can't have that. People are gonna murder us if we have that in this. Open ourselves up to lawsuits. So Trixie or Dixie demands artistic freedom, and Kim Mohan fires them. So that's why there's no more fun. What's New is done because of Kim Mohan, the bastard. But it's all a jest because there's heartwarming letters at the end. Pretty much Phil Folios wants to do his own stuff and is sick of doing this, and Kim's like, yeah, I wish you'd stay because it was a free 3 pages that I guaranteed in the magazine each month. So, but yeah, Phil has gone on to many things. He eventually does some magic cards. So
It was always a bit horny, this here cartoon.
It
always
was.
had a.
Oh, it's because his wife was buxom.
Buxom.
I wonder if his wife is actually buxom. We'll never know because they're both dead.
Yeah, canonically.
But yeah, it's too bad because I did enjoy a lot of What's News. Even if I didn't talk about them, they're always kind of funny. I get a little chuckle out of them all. So it's the end of an era. This magazine does mark an end of a lot of things. So it's a changing of the guard. 84. So I think we're gonna see a big difference in the next upcoming decade of magazines. So that's it, Jack. That's my last article.
Okay, so on to the ads. Now, because Rob threw he threw everything out of balance.
Don't be.
And I had to start.
Way.
I started with Rob.
I still got many an article,
but we have to go to ads now.
I think we're gonna hijack the show.
That's right. I can always just kick them off. I have that power.
Okay, Pat. If there's gonna be no rules,
no rules, just gonna... This is free.
It's the Wild West here, people.
Okay, then what? We're
living like savages on this turn. We're going to page 78.
78. This better be worth it, people.
Oh, you wanted to talk this because we're in a different magazine now, Jack. We're now into Aries. So it's a whole new rules. He's allowed two ads in this one too.
One of the games I started branching off away from Dungeons and Dragons was Star Frontiers, and I used this NPC race when I wanted to do one-offs in Star Frontiers.
The Zethra.
The Zethra. So I don't know how to explain them other than I felt
tentacles.
Like they were more like space beholders without eyes.
Tentacle goo. That's how you describe them.
They had psychic abilities, and the tentacles are very strong and slap you in the muck.
They were kind of like space amoebas, if I remember correctly. Like they a single cell organism, all those traits that you would give to that you take and you just scaled
make them
it up.
Bigger.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
They are with psychic powers. So.
Yes. And they grew back anything they lost limbs and everything. So
was this from here? Is where you got them, or did they eventually make it into the actual magazine? Or into
no, it's not even in the book. So I just used them out of this. Yeah. That's why I used them for one shots.
They were your
Uh,
enemy species you had to go fight all
yeah,
the time.
like you were investigating something,
All of a sudden, a Zethra would
because
show up.
yeah, because they're trying to take over the world too, or the
Two. Hey.
there's another race of bugs
Oh,
that
I
come.
assumed you were meant your players were trying to take over the world and they were
No, no.
in opposition.
So
We're
it
not
was fun,
enemies, we're
and
competition.
I was glad to see this here because I was like, oh yeah, I remember using those guys.
Zethra.
And are you done, Rob? Because we just hit
Yeah,
right
I'm
through my
done.
last one.
Yeah, what's your last one?
84.
Jack, we're not even listening to you anymore.
No, no, apparently not. I'm
His
all structure out the window.
totalitarian control is
We've toppled his statue.
it's suffocating me.
We've toppled his statue and his head's fallen off.
That's
Yeah,
right. We're dancing around his effigy.
the all of the people watching right now are greeting you as liberators.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is that game Starfire that we talked about last time because someone said it was a good alternative to Starfleet battles.
Mm.
I just bring this up because this is already 3 variations on how to play the game that I have not played yet.
So
But I'm looking.
you're excited.
But I'm looking to buy into.
9 or 90.
So
I would be wary if the game is brand new and yet there's already
well,
this much.
I mean, it's made by the same people who make Starfleet battles. So the movement in Starfleet battles is tedious at best. I mean, there's a warp deck that you can do that you just flip, and it tells you when to go. But if you don't have that deck, then you just literally have to call a number. It's like from 1 to 32. Okay, warp 1, who goes? Warp 2, who goes? Warp 3, who goes? And then you're moving chits, and it does get to be tedious. And that part of the game I hate. And when you're moving around 15 chits on a board, it gets even more tedious.
I like to say is anytime you need a hypotenuse determination table, I'm not playing that game.
And then I won't even talk about when you have to interrupt the movement to shoot or do other things. And don't even get started when there's missiles and suicide shuttles out there.
Sounds like fun.
It is fun once you get to know the game, but there's like, and I said it a million times with Starfleet battles. There is a learning curve, and it's steep. Like you need climbing gear and whatever you put crampons on your boots.
You need some
Fucking learn how
Sherpas
to
to
play
help you up
game.
that
Yeah.
game.
You might need a Sherpa, just because there's so many modules to carry in that game that add on to the regular book. On top of that,
Well, you do that, I'll be belaying from below with
you'll be
a
at
ham
Camp
sandwich
4,
and a
Camp 4 where the oxygen is free.
yeah.
I'll be on the
we'll
beach, or probably at the pool bar actually, while you guys are doing that things.
So that being said,
I'm so far away from the mountain.
I am still looking for this game that's where it's fairly affordable, and then I will look into it. But
That's the problem. After the event,
I read this article and I was like, "Oh my god, this might be just as bad as the movement phase. Might be just as bad as Starfleet battles." I do wonder, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I do wonder if this is just another version of Starfleet battles without
sure
the Star
it's-
Trek influences.
I'm
without
sure
the
that's
IP so that they can expand and do
I assume that's
as
what
much
it was,
as
for
they
sure.
want without having
because
to.
it does mention like warp points and stuff like that, like you were just talking
Yeah,
about.
and there's Starfire 3, so I don't know what I'm doing yet. So
3D movement
but-
planes. That's
but
the
we'll,
scary.
yeah, but we'll add that to the T-shirt. Still looking for something affordable.
Between 9 and 90. I was gonna say it's just speaking of being affordable is after the event that we don't speak of, everybody was at home and everything is like comic books, like all nostalgia stuff is all gone through the roof because people were just like had nothing better to do, so they just everything's so expensive. Before the pandemic, I got all my BattleTech stuff super cheap. Pat was just looking up stuff and he's like, "Oh, that's like this much money." I was like, I never paid over like $10 for anything. Like it was crazy, like the difference in cost now. So it's gone crazy, and comic books have been like through the roof also. So it's a strange like economy right now in the hobby world, I guess I'm trying to say. So
Disposable income's the first to go, and there's nothing more disposable than just light entertainment. So
you think it's going to crash?
No, I think the people who wanted to buy it have bought it in spades, and then there's going to be the people, the rest of us who are like, I'm not going to pay $100 for a manual that has the inside of starships. You know, it you're right. It could
That guy
crash eventually,
will.
but right
But the problem
now,
is, there's always Pats out there.
Yes.
yeah, he's too rich for my blood.
Pat drives the prices up.
All right. Well, that's all my articles. Moving on
Oh,
to
Okay,
finally,
finally,
Jesus.
Hey,
Let's
finally.
bring back some control here, Jack.
this was a
Who let
heavy
the
article
dogs out?
for me because now
I don't know.
we're doing some things other than just D&D because
Yeah,
that's I'm
that's why I love it.
I'm
That's why I
I'm
was mad
still a
that.
couple I'm still a couple years ahead here already. I already moved on to new systems.
Yeah,
My secret police have not done enough cudgeling with their truncheons. I can see that now. I can see that now for sure.
It's like this.
Okay, so
from off
for
camera.
ads, how about Robert Spiewak? Why don't you
I have so many
scamper on over
ads.
there? You've got your one ad, so make it quick.
I have
Boy,
so many
he's
ads.
really trying to reassert control again.
We're gonna go page 21.
21.
Oh, that's
Okay.
one of my
Is
ads.
this one
So
yours?
you-
Well, you can have it, Pat, because I got so many. So it's yours.
all right. So it was the Grenadier paint set.
No, this is not Grenadier.
It is Grenadier.
Oh, it
It
is
is.
Grenadier technically, but it's
It's
Poly
two.
S.
Yeah, it's actually two different paint sets, but I'm pointing out the Grenadier paint set because we didn't have Poly S.
See,
in
we had
my
Poly
game.
S. I had Poly S ones. So
We had Grenadier, so I had the Fantasy World. But
What?
the thing that kept correcting me about this is I had the Grenadier sets along with my basic colors of Tester's enamel paint.
yep, exactly. Same with us too.
So when I saw this, I laughed because I was like, "Oh yeah, this was where I was mixing acrylics and enamels."
Oh yeah,
And
we did
didn't
it
know
all the
that I was
time.
mixing acrylics
Yep.
and enamels.
Oh, for sure. And you'd get to know which you'd want to use, and because for us, we didn't have a local game store. It was you got what you got. And
Yeah,
that's
you
why
went
it was,
to-
I got all my paints in the beginning. I got all my paints from a train store.
Well, for us, it was we'd go to like I don't even know, probably Canadian Tire or something to get our paints. I don't even know where we got our paints from.
no. I remember having to go to like St.
Okay.
Catharines, which was like
Kmart's.
Oh, to like the hobby
45
store to
minutes away. Yeah,
yeah,
the hobby stores,
yeah,
train
yeah.
stores, and stuff
train
like that.
stores. Yeah,
There wasn't a big
Michaels
but
wasn't
the
around
long,
then, and
No,
no,
the
no,
long
no.
and short of it is
Walmart.
these
Yeah.
kinds of paint sets
Yeah,
were like what you now you couldn't pay me to struggle with a Tester's enamel paints and the
but you had one of those Grenadier paints till recently. From that back then, it lasted a long
Well,
time.
spoiler alert. Let's slow a roll here.
Okay, is there another ad? It's your turn, Jack. So you can go there.
Okay, let's go page 36.
Yeah, this is the one I thought you were talking about. Yeah. The armory paints. Yep. Yeah, this is exactly what Jack had.
When I about 9 years ago, 10 years ago, we Rob and I decided to get back into miniature wargaming, and I broke out my paints because I wanted to paint the
Did-
purchases that we got into.
Did he ridicule you?
A small game called Dead Zone, and I didn't know what had advanced in the time between. So I brought out my old stuff, and I was like, "Oh, Tester's this, Tester's there." But I did have one pot of the Armory Red, and I took a picture at one point because people were like, "No, you couldn't possibly still be using it because it was from 20 years ago." And yeah, I don't have it anymore. I've used it since because that was an additional decade ago. But yeah, I had the red Armory paint.
in that old bottle with the label is all getting all weird colors and
It was a silver label, and the black printing on it was starting to wear off.
It was that
And-
giant glass paint jar.
Yeah, and it was the best red.
You know why you had it for 20 years? Because look, it has extended shelf life.
oh, we only got 10 minutes left, guys.
Oh dear,
The warning came up.
Okay, well that was my ad. I used to have paint 10 years ago.
We still got, we
knows
still
that.
got 10 years.
We got 10
that
minutes,
was-
Jack. You can slow it
Was
down.
the lid easy opening?
Uh, No, it was just a standard
Oh,
metal
he's saying,
lid.
could you like open it? Was it sealed shut?
Yeah, yeah. It had been standing up the whole time. All my moves, it'd been in my little painting
It's
box or
crazy.
whatever. So
Nice.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
amazed that it still lasted. I was like, what the? It's been like
and
20
I
years. Yeah.
used it right till the end of the jar. So yeah. So anyone else with an ad?
Yes, I have on page 81. Here it is, full color ad for Marvel superheroes. I just like this is the box art and includes the
Yeah.
adventure Day of the Octopus. But yeah, this is it. 10 to adult. I think you could have played younger, but yep. Thrills, spills, incredible feats, and literally feats because that was part of the game.
Yep.
Yep. TSR. Yep. This is the beginning of role playing for me right here. It would have been a couple years after this. I think I actually got the advanced version first, but yeah. Anyways,
And honestly, you got Spider-Man. He was like a god. Everyone knew Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America, iconic. My favorite Captain Marvel.
I know I can't believe she's on the cover. Yeah,
She's my
yeah, yeah.
Captain Marvel. And the Thing, like,
Everyone loved the Thing because he always said it's clobbering time.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he was on the cartoons whenever available. Like that's a you couldn't ask her. They're busting out of a big bright yellow like
Mm-hmm.
that ad. Even if you were tangentially attracted to Marvel, you'd be like, oh, I need to get this.
Yep. I was working at a kids camp in when I was 14, and I walked down the street in St. Catharines, Ontario. Went to Phoenix Rising. In the basement, they had all the upstairs was all hobby stuff, and then the basement was all role playing games and things. And then I saw Marvel stuff, big into comic books, had to get it. So that's where it all began. I was actually younger than that. I was like 13. Yeah. So that was my other ad. Anybody else any got it?
I have one last ad.
What page?
Is there
Page
no
99.
rules?
It's the same ad as my final ad. Also, finally in color.
Dragonlance is here now because now we have the name of the dungeon adventure, Dragons of Despair.
By Tracy Hickman.
And it's number 1 in the corner.
Yeah. This is the cover that I was shushing Jack about a couple weeks ago. Is because Gold Moon right there on the cover, without pants, it made Margaret Weiss cry from the Eyes of the Dragon movie.
Oh,
Because she would always wear pants. So ever since it's the
But
only
she
time
gets pants, yeah.
it's the only time
It's
you
the
ever
only
see her without
picture.
pants. Yep.
If you watch that documentary, this is the only time she does have pants because at the end, he paints it the same color as her legs, but so it looks like it's leather.
Yeah,
Leather.
it made it look like she had leather pants on instead of just her golden skin. But yeah, is that the story you were going to talk about, Jack? Or you had another story about Dragonlance?
no. But that was like 3 weeks ago. I forget what that story was now.
I yelled at you for nothing. But it's nice to see
Yeah,
full
yeah.
color. It's Larry Elmore, right? Did these, I believe.
No, I think it's our good friend. What's his name? With the Clive? Or is
Clyde
it?
Caldwell? Did he do
Yeah.
Clyde Caldwell do all the Dragonlance?
He
I can't
almost did
remember.
almost all the Dragonlance ones.
Yeah, they all had their own specialty for sure.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Jack, aren't you
right.
in control of this thing? What's going on?
Yeah, but I'm trying to think. Was it Clyde Caldwell that
No,
did
it's Larry
Dragon?
Elmore. I was right. It was Larry
Yeah,
Elmore.
I see.
I was right.
I almost let it go, but I was like, no,
Thank you, Jack.
he
You backed
but
me
I
up.
will
Caldwell
say
did-
Clyde Caldwell did a majority of the Dragonlance.
he did
Ravenloft. Yeah.
Larry
Yes.
Elmore did
Yeah, I think Dragonlance
Dragonlance.
was mostly Elmore, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways,
Yes. Okay. Good. We've gotten that. We've gotten that.
we don't want to be
taken care of.
wrong because people in the comments will lambaste us.
Well, that's okay. At least someone's commenting.
Ah,
Yeah.
tell Jack
Stop
how
by,
he
say hi.
should take more control of these series.
Get down in there and ding the bell and
Get down on it.
Get down on it.
And so, anyways,
That's
if
my last
that's
ad.
the last ad.
Anybody got any more
then,
ads? Pat?
No, I think we are done here. So
Yeah.
I would like to say thank you
Oh,
for coming along with us. If you've made it this far, you're a champion. You've certainly got the stamina to compete with the best of them.
That is
And
true.
I suspect that next week will be just as smooth and just as quick and easy.
This one was
uh,
actually exceptionally long.
I think I'm the
I know.
host next time, so it's great.
Okay, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, look what
We'll
happens when
see.
Jack's the host. It goes really long.
I know. Okay, well, for the Dragon's Tome, I was Jack.
I was Chopper.
I was never Rob. I was never here. Moo.
I was never loved.
Oh, that's just sad.
Oh, are we not opening up? I thought we were opening up.
Like, share, subscribe. Comment below if you think Pat should be loved.
Yes.
Bye bye.